I had a purpose before everybody had an opinion.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out.
You want Philly?
Chase Utley, you are the man.
You come out backyard and you try to start something, you always get your butt kicked.
The prayers have been answered.
How about those Eagles, baby?
And Rio Muto can run for days.
Can you feel what's about to happen on this field, man?
A perfect game. Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia Phillies history.
Alright, we are back with another episode of Philly Talk. It's been about a week, basically, still, trying to decide whether I want to do these weekly, bi-weekly, trying to come up with a pattern for, it's always tough to figure out how you want to cover baseball, because at least, with the NFL, it's week by week, one game a week, but baseball is a bit harder because there's multiple games to talk about, but we're here, of course, to talk about the Phillies since the last time we were talking about the Red Series and the Braves Series. This time it's now the Washington game, the Washington games. And right now, as this comes out, we are in the midst of the Cardinals series, so St. Louis. There's a lot to talk about there, with these past couple games. And actually, I don't remember if they had revealed them when they were the last episode we recorded, but the Connect jerseys, the City Connects. We'll talk about those later. And then real quickly, before we obviously get into the games, I wanted to talk about the fact that there's so many pitching injuries. That's the crazy part. What's his name? Oh gosh, I'm blanking on name. Is it Yuri Perez from the Marlins, and then Shane Bieber from the Guardians, and then Spencer Strider had a scare. I think it's only a sprain, they said, but still he could be out for quite some time with that. It is just bad. You have people going back and forth on whether it's the pitch clock, whether it's the whole making people, throw such high velocity, so quickly and all that, I personally think it's a mix of things. You're making them sort of throw too quickly, but also it's you're forcing them to keep throwing harder and harder. And hey, the body wasn't meant to do a lot of that stuff, Some crazy stuff going on with the league, it's hopefully they can figure out what it actually is, because you never want to see these players hurt. You never want to see the best players go out like that. So just wanted to touch up on that. But let's start off with getting into the good of the week. So starting off, I have to make up for something I forgot in the last episode, and that is how could I forget to mention Ricardo Pinto's game, where the fact that they called him up, after obviously sending Connor Brogdon down, who of course got traded to the Dodgers, saw that happen. Hoping he can figure it out, but hope he can't figure it out in the sense that he's pitching against us, or pitching against us in a playoff series and is doing well against us, but just hoping he can figure it all out, hoping the best for him and his mental. But yeah, so Ricardo Pinto gets called up, and I forget how many years they said it's been since he even pitched in the majors, and all this. When they called him up, he was over there in Rochester, New York, and they had to go drive up and get him, and they were experiencing traffic. And I told my dad this whole story, the fact that they had to go get him. They were late because of all this traffic and stuff, and getting him from Rochester all the way to Philadelphia. He got there by the fourth inning. He said hello to Rob Thompson and immediately went to the bullpen to work and gave us 4 innings, got the save, in the game. Absolutely crazy stuff from Ricardo Pinto. Hopefully he shores up that bullpen a lot more, because we'll talk about it more in the bad, but yeah, hopefully you see a lot more from the bullpen. Kyle Schwarber, known singles hitter. Kyle Schwarber's been hitting a lot more singles this year. He hasn't been driving the ball out too much, but I just found it funny, especially in It was the first game in Washington. I had wrote it down. I was like, Kyle Schwarber, known singles hitter, because I think he like drove in a run through a single. And I'm just like, man, it feels weird to see him, because we're so used to Kyle Schwarber either goes yard or he's striking out, popping out, grounding out, something like that, but he's been hitting a lot of singles, Nola also had a bounce back in that Washington game, of course. We won the first two Washington games. Alec Boehm had that triple in the second game. JT, 3-run home run, makes some pay in that second Washington game. We saw yesterday in the Cardinals game, Rojas had 3 for 4 on the day. 3 hits on the day at RBI for Rojas. I was like, man, who is this guy? And I saw people saying, that's kind of why it's important he stays up to see major league pitching to really get a sense for it, but it's just kind of tough because you're like, this is a team that obviously has high expectations, aspirations, it's like, it's kind of tough to have a guy develop at that same time, but open for it, hopefully he has more games like that. Hopefully he's getting his confidence back, but that was most of the good that I had, Washington, we beat them 4-0. Like I said, Nola really bounced back that game. No home runs, no earned runs, went 5-2, struck out 4 guys. Nice little recovery, against the Nationals. Matt Strom came in, did pretty well. Sir Anthony Dominguez came in and did pretty well. And then Jose Alvarado came in and did pretty well. Everyone's basically trying to recover from, obviously the first week, and trying to get their ERAs down. The second game, we won 5-2. That one, Alvarado also came in to get the save. That game, Soto also pitched. Hoffman also pitched. Ranger did pretty good, went 6 innings. Was hoping to see him go out for the 7th, and I think he walked the first guy, or he got or someone got a hit off of him. I forget what it was exactly, and then Thompson took him out, and everyone was like, "Oh, come on, let him stay out there." And Sanchez had a pretty tough outing in the Washington loss. I know that's more for the back section, but I was just checking through the games to see, but Junior Marte's been doing pretty good coming out the bullpen for us. Matt Strom's obviously pretty decent as well. And then yesterday's Cardinals game, I brought this up because, after the whole Ranger thing, Spencer Turnbull was doing pretty well. He went 6 innings. He only had 6 strikeouts, no earned runs, only let up 2 hits and a walk. And he did down a total of 82 pitches. So everyone was like, oh, he's going to go out for the 7th, right? And now Sir Anthony Dominguez comes in, immediately allows a home run. Brandon Marsh almost had it, but Marsh came up in later on when he made that amazing outfield play, that catch. But yeah, man, Spencer Turnbull, man, he's been really good so far. I don't want to get my hopes up because we've seen a pitcher come in and have 2 incredible starts and then completely fall off. But still, 2 really impressive starts, especially for a guy who's coming off of the injuries that he's had. And that's why, Thompson's being a bit passive with him, I guess you could say. You got to be careful with a guy who's had injuries like that. But yeah, Dominguez lets up that earned run, that home run. But then from there, he does pretty well. Alvarado comes in and shuts things down. Jeff Hoffman comes in, blows the save, but is the one that walks away with the win, funny enough. But yeah, he lets up 2 earned runs. I really think they should have switched Hoffman and Alvarado here. Hoffman, just for me, is always going to be that setup guy who comes in for you in the 8th inning during playoffs. As we've seen Thompson do, he's a guy who could also come in earlier if you really need him to shut things down, if it's the 6th or 7th inning. But 9th inning, I just don't think that's the spot for him. I think Alvarado should have been switched, but maybe they just didn't like the matchups there for Alvarado, so they brought him in earlier. But yeah, so Hoffman blows that save, but then Soto comes in for the save, 2 strikeouts, only let up 1 hit. Soto's been pretty good. I don't think he's allowed a single run. I think his ERA is still at 0 on the season. Let me double check. Let's see. Yeah, he still hasn't let up really anything. He's only let up 3 hits on the year so far and 3.2 innings pitched. He got the save to his name now. But yeah, doesn't really have he's been doing pretty well for us out the bullpen so far. He's mainly one of those guys that, we bring because of the high velocity, but, was glad to see him come in and shut things down in, extra innings. But that's pretty much the good. Let's move on to the bad. So, the bad, starting off with, it's actually the Reds game, I believe, because that was one of the games that we weren't able to cover because of it came out after last week's Philly Talk. Wheeler goes out there, gives you a good performance, 6 innings, only 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts. He did really well. Junior Marte did really well. Gregory Soto did really well. And then Nick Nelson comes in and does pretty bad. He lets up 2 hits, lets up an earned run, only struck out 1. But yeah, and then I think the other runs came in on errors, I believe. I forget exactly how it went, but basically, just wasn't particularly happy, like I said, Wheeler, that's like back to back now that Wheeler gives you really good games and the offense isn't able to do anything, like they aren't able to help out in any way, and it's just like, man, what is going on here? Like he has a 0.75 ERA and 15 strikeouts in 12 innings pitched, 0.83 whip, and you guys can't do anything to win the games that he's pitching, just really sucks. This game wasn't particularly good. A lot of guys were going 0 in all the boxes. Turner was 0s all across the board with 2 strikeouts. Nick wasn't really good in this game. It was just pretty terrible, that they couldn't get much going in this game for Wheeler especially. Just wasn't too particularly happy with that. The first Washington game, even though we won, even in the games that we win, there's still some pretty bad things. The first Washington game, there was some pretty poor base running in that game, especially. Like they were just really struggling. I made a note of it in that game too, but it continued throughout that Washington series, and we even saw it a bit in the first game of the St. Louis series. Too many lost opportunities where like the bases are loaded and it leads to a double play, or like you have guys in runners in scoring position, not getting them in. Some pretty poor at bats where it's like these guys are swinging at the first pitch and popping up. The third Washington game, they were allowing too many stolen bases, and that's what led to the loss, especially was because these guys just weren't getting really anything. Like JT was really losing in that game where it was just like, dude, these guys are running all over you. Like, now the Nationals weren't like perfect in that game. I mean, with runners in scoring position, they were like 2 for 11, but like the base run, it's like you look at it, Jacob Young got a stolen base off of Sanchez and Realmuto. Lane Thomas had like 3 stolen bases, I think, or like 2, I forget how many he had. Joey Gallo even had one. It was like, man, you're allowing too many of these guys to run on you. And then, like I said, Sanchez, he did like decent, but like he was also struggling this game. Like he had a really high pitch count early on, let up 3 earned runs. Wasn't exactly the best. But I don't know. Like they just kind of were struggling a ton in this game, and it's just like you really don't want to see that. Oh, also, man, how could I forget to bring it up in the good part? Brandon Marsh had that home run in yesterday's game, and then of course the Phillies won in extra innings. I don't know how I forget to bring that up in the good part, but yeah, I mean, there's not like a whole lot of bad that isn't that isn't kind of an extension of what we were saying like last episode, where it's just like, you know, they're struggling with runners in scoring position at times. You know, yesterday was the exception with, you know, getting them in the extra innings with Alec Bohm, super clutch again when it comes to runners in scoring position. At least for this team wise, you know, like, I don't know, like, it's always tough to talk about your own players because then people think like you're overhyping them, and it's just like, dude, I'm just trying to like talk about in regards to my team. I'm not talking about in regards to the whole league, you know. Like, I'm just saying as far as this team goes, it's like Alec Bohm is really clutch for us, you know. But we've seen some struggles from a lot of these guys. But again, these sort of openings, like especially because it's barely like we're not even a full month into the season yet, it's like you're gonna see a lot of these episodes be a lot shorter with not too much to say, because again, kind of like what I'll keep reiterating in the moving forward part, it's just too soon to really make true judgments, you know. But this is all I have to say for the bad so far. Is just that, you know, there was a couple mistakes in a lot of those games, but so far, you know, we're back to 500, and you know, we got a lot to look forward to if you look at the standings. Alright, so like I alluded to there's a lot to look forward to in the standings because we're only a game and a half behind the Braves, who are 6-3 right now. And, you know, with the news about Spencer Strider, who again, you know, hope all goes well with him. Hope he's healthy, you know, hope it's not anything too serious that, you know, further develops from this. But, you know, with that happening, with Max Fried really struggling to start the season, you know, Atlanta's bats can obviously carry them a far way, but, you know, if there's going to be serious issues to their pitching, you know, it's like the Phillies need to take advantage of that, you know, at least, you know, keep it close, you know, like how I said in the opening day expectations video, it's like, I don't believe that like this team's going to win the division, you know, but you know, if things like this are going to happen, then they need to look at that and, you know, say, screw all this that we have going around with the slow starts and this and that. It's like, if you have a shot, go for it, you know. And but the way this team has been playing at times, like, I don't know, like, we're barely at 500, you know, they're really struggling. But again, that's the point of moving forward, saying, it's just that, like, the improvements that need to be made, you know, but the thing is, again, because it's so early, it's like you don't know what you can change yet, you know. Like, the one thing's for sure is that Castellanos really needs to wake up and get out of whatever slump he's in, whatever struggle he's going through, you know. Like, someone needs to get through that guy, tell him, you know, just to wake up, get over these struggles. Brandon Marsh should be playing every day at this point. I mean, just like, come on, man. Like, how is he not playing every day? Like, I'm not even trying to sound super biased, because if you've been here, you know, from the start, you know how big of a fan my dad and I are of Brandon Marsh. But like, come on, with the way this guy's been playing, he's literally tied with Harper for the most home runs on this team right now with 3, you know. Like, this guy's been doing pretty well for us. His batting .310, on base a lot, you know, has a pretty good slugging percentage. You know, he's putting things together for us. I don't know how the lineup plays out, but maybe consider moving him up and see if he does better, if he does worse, you know, just to sort of see, you know, how he does in certain situations, so you know where exactly you want him, you know. Need a bit better from Bryson Stott, you know. Trey Turner, I mean, he's been fairly decent, but like, it's Trey Turner, you're expecting a lot more, you know, especially after the second half of last season. It's like, okay, they're supposed to have it put together, you know. He's been making a lot of errors on defense, you know, so like, just hoping that he can shake off if it's rust, or like get back into a groove, you know. Like, that's the main thing with a lot of these guys, that you're just trying to get back into a groove, you know. But I'm super excited for these next couple of games, you know, especially because the schedule is looking quite favorable for us, you know. We have 2 more games against St. Louis, and then from there we return home for a stretch where we have a 4-game series with the Pirates. That should be fun. Should be a bit difficult, you know. That Pirates lineup is pretty good. And then we have the Rockies for 3 games before getting a break, and then facing off against I believe that's the White Sox. So this is a prime schedule that you want. You know, you get a bit of a test with St. Louis and Pittsburgh. Obviously, you know, not every game is guaranteed, you know, but, you know, when you're going against the Rockies and White Sox back to back, you're hoping for a bit better. You know, you're hoping that they can really use that to really get into their groove so that they face off against Cincinnati again in a 4-game series. And it looks a lot better than the one that happened at the start, you know, where we lost that series. And then from there, it's like you hopefully get into a groove so that you don't struggle too much against some of the upcoming teams that will be, you know, at least on paper, a bit more of a struggle than some of the ones that we have upcoming, you know. But so that's all I have here for today. Super excited for the future of this team, you know, just want to see them piece things together, and I'm happy to continue watching it go. I'm on a pretty good streak right now. Haven't missed a game yet since opening day. Usually there's different things that like will happen, you know, because you never know with life. It's like sometimes you're not there for a game, sometimes, you know, this and that comes up and you're not able to. I might not be able to watch today's game because I do have something else planned, so that might be the end of my streak, funny enough. But I've been keeping a good streak. Maybe I'll find a way to watch it, who knows. But until next time, thank you all for joining for this one, and I'll catch you on the next one.